I'm going to be talking about making wikis Parsoid-compatible. And after this very short presentation, it's going to take like 5 minutes, we're going to do a workshop. I've prepared exercises for everyone, which you can do in groups. But I'll have a slide that explains everything at the end of the presentation. So the objective of the workshop are to understand what functional parser functions are. So functional parser function, basically just parser functions that don't have any side effects, aren't stateful like variables. You will learn how to utilize Lua and Scribuntu to replace variables and also other stateful extensions. And you will learn how to utilize array functions in combination with Lua to make this process a bit more bearable. And you should have fun, hopefully. So what exactly is the current problem with Parsoid? So as you might have all heard, the current MediaWiki parser is going away and will be replaced by Parsoid in the near future.
Excuse me, do you share your screen?
Yeah, I should be sharing my screen because I'm not connected to the Beamer or something.
Yeah, okay, because there are some complaints on the Zoom chat.
What are they complaining about?
Okay, just go on, sorry.
All right. How do I minimize? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So the problem with Parsoid is that it will no longer support these stateful extensions, like I said before the break, because they are going to parallelize the processing of wiki text. So a bunch of chunks of wiki text. For instance, if you have a page with template A and template B, instead of first parsing template A because that is located before template B, they will parse those in parallel. And you can no longer rely on state defined before some other template call. You can no longer rely that state is available because the parser can't guarantee that will be parsed before some other piece of wiki text later on the page. So this will impact quite a lot of extensions, for instance, arrays, variables, loops, hash tables, and numer alpha, because these all use some kind of state-based system, because they require you to define a variable before you actually use it. But like I said, this doesn't work with Parsoid. So how are we going to be able to use these technologies or use a similar technology in the Parsoid era? So the solution that we came up with is to do all computation, so all the stateful things, all the math, all the querying of Semantic MediaWiki, we all do that in Lua, which is Parsoid compatible and can still be state-based, because you basically encapsulate all your computation into a single parser function call. But keep all the presentations still in Wikitext. So the things such as rendering HTML, rendering Wikitext elements, rendering links, that all still happens in Wikitext. So why do we do all the computation in Lua? Because it's Parsoid compatible. Furthermore, Lua is a real scripting language and not some kind of hacky ad hoc way to call to PHP through some parser function and not have real data types. Lua has real data types. You can use integers, you can use strings. It's much more flexible and much easier for computation. But we keep all the presentations still in Wikitext to make use of these awesome features that Wikitext was meant for, that Wikitext was originally created for, and that is creating a layout on a page that just looks decent. And also it's more familiar than Lua for at least, there's a question first?
Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you in mid-sentence.
That's fine, yeah.
So my question is, you talk about computation and presentation, of course, using Semantic MediaWiki, there's a lot of setting semantic properties as well, which often happen within an array map. Am I correct in that that keeps working because that is one parser function that iterates over all the elements that are then in another parser function in the same context set as a semantic property?
Yes, exactly. So you can still use array map because that's a functional parser function. You get an array, you do some computation and you return some result. That will all keep working. And the set will also keep working. But you can also do sets inside of Lua, which is what we are going to do. Or not in this exact workshop, but which you can do. And another benefit of separating the computation and the presentation is that you have a real separation of concerns. You can have one developer that deals with just the computation side and one developer that deals with styling on the wiki text side or on some other stuff.
Is there, Remco, so you can use array maps, but what you can't do is define an array and then use it and then do something with it in an array map.
No, that is clear.
That's clear.
But you can use a comma-separated string
And just
then
put
use
it
that as input to the array map. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it is in one and the same template?
Yeah, so when you can't define an array in a template and then in the same template rely that array is available later in the wiki text.
And the same goes for var define.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what this is about.
Yeah. Okay. So I was working under the assumption that you have a var define and a var retrieval within one template, and only in this template that this can still be used.
No, that is not guaranteed by Parsoid. Maybe they'll change it, maybe they won't, but that's not guaranteed at the moment. Okay, so this is the end of the presentation, of the introductory presentation. So I want you all to form groups of a number of people. I said 3 to 5, but feel free to work alone or work with 10 people.
Feel 3 to 4.
And I'll assign everyone a number, so everyone can, I made 12 groups on this wiki, and you can log into your group, and I'll assign every group a number. So please don't form more than 12 groups, because then I'll have to add more groups, and that's quite annoying. If you are working online, by the way, you can also just join. I'll put the passwords on the slide in a bit, or on the screen in a bit. And you can just do the same, and I'll assign you a number through the chat. So just say, I'm working on it, and I'll send you a number. I hope it works somewhat okay. So go to smwcon2023.wikibase.nl, log in, and you see a screen with all the groups. Click on your group, and there are a bunch of instructions there that you can start working. If you have a question, just raise your hand and I'll walk over to you. You can also use the Zoom chat for questions because Lieselot will be in there, which is a colleague of mine, and she will answer questions on there.
How are people online going to be?
The same as here, but you will just work alone probably, or maybe at home with a number of people through another Zoom call. It's pretty free form. So start forming groups now.
Which group do we want?
Okay, so everyone, we're out of time basically, but I wanted to show you what the solution would be. So let's take a look at it. But first of all, how did it go? Did someone finish it? Very nice, very nice. Okay, so apparently it's still too difficult, but that's okay. I'll show you the solution and hopefully it will be a little bit clearer by then.
Okay, please pay attention to the teacher.
Because I don't know Lua.
So how far did most people manage to get? Did you at least were you at least able to print some array from Lua?
Yes.
Very nice, very nice.
It looked a bit weird, but
Yeah, so if you put an A of print around it, it should look a little bit better. But that's the encoding we use. It's just a base 64 encoded JSON. We could use a more efficient encoding, but it's not really that much of a problem. Okay, let's look at the solution. So this is the main template, the timetable page that you had to transform to using Lua. If we look at the source, so as you can see, it looks basically the same as it did before. but now it uses all array functions and no more variables. So the important thing you see here is that instead of creating these variables, you invoke your Lua module. I could probably make it a bit bigger first. So you invoke your Lua module and pass that in its entirety to the template that we want to use. So that way, all the data that you need will be available throughout the entire template using the data variable, and you can use it anywhere you want, just like a normal variable is a variable. So this is all the change you had to do for the main page, for the main template you wanted to edit. So now let's look at the actual template. We get a bunch of errors here, but that's just because I didn't do a no include. If you invoke it, it will look fine.
No include.
Exactly, include only. So we just passed the data variable to this template, and we can read it here. So we read,
Very readable.
yeah, it's not the most readable, but also because it's a very big text. But we retrieve the query data from the data, then loop over it, and create RFL blocks just using regular wiki text, using regular HTML. So each of the talks will be available as a talk parameter here, and we can read this talk parameter using normal bracketed syntax. And we use afget to get specific keys from that data. I will keep this wiki online so you can look at it in your free time. I see there's a question as well.
Could you look at the solution of group number 7 that was done by ChatGPT and explain why the parsing is not coordinating?
Sorry, what was the last thing?
Group 7 solution, if you look at that,
Yeah.
that was done by ChatGPT.
Okay.
It's behaving strangely, and I'd like to understand why.
Okay, I'll first look at the module for this. So the Lua code. Then I'll quickly look at group 7.
Did differently? I did the same.
So the Lua module is only 22 lines long. Task. Then we add our total duration. I created a helper function for that called getTotalDuration, which is just a for loop and returns the total duration. Then I created a data array and put the query result inside the query data and the total duration inside the duration key. And it's also the same thing that we used in our template. Let's see, is this? I closed the template. I think this is it. So we basically retrieved the query data, looped over it, and then at the end printed the duration as well, which we also put in the data array. And that's all there is to it. It's a bit complicated, I know, but hopefully it will get clearer if you do it more. We have been doing it at Wikibase, and it seems to hold up to the complex templates that we need to use. So also now look at group 7 and the ChatGPT solution. So which template did you want me to look at? That.
If you look at the so
Or do you want to look at a module?
both, because I think the parser is not invoked, so there was some assumption that the parser would be invoked, the parser on the result, but it isn't. So the brackets are not created so that they are linking.
Yeah, so if you do an AF print is only for debug reasons, and it disables the parser during printing.
Is there another way to do it?
Yeah, so if you want to just retrieve a variable, if it contains wiki text, you can do what I'm about to type. So we do an AF get, which is able to get values from an array. And I hope this will work. Let's see what it was called again. Title. Yeah, so now it's just printed as a normal link.
Yeah, so could we also create an AF print compatible thing that like loops over the whole array and does it for every line?
Yeah, you have the AF for each, and that loops over the array over each item.
Yeah, that's good, thank you.
So that's basically it. I hope you guys enjoyed it somewhat. I'm sorry if it was a bit too difficult. At least one group managed to figure it out, so thank you. That's it.
No question?
Feel free to copy everything on the wiki. I'll ask Rob to keep it online for another few weeks.
Okay, then, thank you.